On this day, the anniversary of my mother's death, we have gathered together to plan and build towards the future. It is with humble and perhaps auspicious beginnings that we stumble onward into the future, hand in hand, without an entirely clear vision of what will proceed before us. Great challenges will await us, terrible adversaries will be overcome, tragedy shall befall, and wonder and happiness will abound. This we know, for this is the human story, again and again, in constant repeat and uncessating fashion. There will be hostility and anger. I wish that we could live in a world which knows the peace that we know here in London, in Ontario, and Canada, but we do not. Which is not to say that we live without conflict, a patently absurd idea, but that little brushfires of anger and discontent are quickly hosed by tranquility and the serenity of calm and contented minds, and this is, of course, a great thing. Pax Canadiana. Yet we must not stick our noses too far in the air at the thought of our humble superiority to the savage, war-torn nations abroad, for, after all, we are in the States still engaged in military action overseas. Perhaps we have simply chosen to export our strife. There will be fear and disappointment. It is impossible for me to predict the future, aside from very brief and immediate statements that it shall not rain in the next hour, and even then I might be mockingly disproven. The conditions of peace and prosperity that we enjoy are unique in the scope of human history. The gifts we have been given, the gifts that we have squandered in our indolent luxury, cannot be compared to any other. The general condition of mankind is one of misery, enslavement, and tyranny. This has been the state of man since nearly as long as there has been man. Perhaps it is simply human nature for man to turn on his brother. Perhaps cruelty is indeed coupled with genius, but whatever the reason, whatever the cause, we should fight with a never-ending passion to ensure that the spark of freedom which has ignited in this great land remains aflame. Perhaps it is our isolated geography, or the company which we keep, but for whatever reason, freedom has found us here in London, Ontario, Canada. I challenge anyone to dispute this claim. Examine your surroundings. Even the paupers among us live in unimagined luxury. This wealth is not accidental. Prosperity is the result of freedom, economic freedom. Yet as our wealth accumulates, as our lifestyle accelerates towards hedonism, our freedom wanes. Year by year, there are more laws and more bureaucrats, more signs and less liberties, and all people want is to be left alone, to go about their work in peace. But that is not okay. We must be pestered and bothered, maligned and harassed. The night watchman state beats closer and closer to our doorsteps. Fragile liberties hang in the balance. Freedom from police search and seizure is more precarious than ever. We are harassed and maligned by our protectors more than ever, and should a crime occur, they are more likely to mock than to assist. Personally, I have never gotten any aid from police. Perhaps I am the exception to the rule, but I suspect not. It is true that I am rather obnoxious towards police, but it is they who use violence against me, they who throw cuffs on me, they who confine and kidnap, and I will not apologize for my rebellion against their illegitimate authority. And I understand the attitude of this industry who thinks we should leave well enough alone. After all, we have a very good thing going here. Why rock the boat? Why mess it up? After all, do we not live in the best of times, the best of all times? Is the present not more impressive than anything that has occurred in the past? Motion pictures excepting. And this is true in a material sense, but we must examine both cause and effect if we are to consider the grander scheme of things. We must ask not only where are we, but where are we going? And the answer is that we have veered radically off course. And if we do not effect change, then we will descend back into the third world that we have risen out of. The source of all prosperity is economic freedom. The world is replete with examples thereof. The Asian tigers, with a specific focus on Hong Kong. In Africa, Botswana, to say nothing of the American Empire. Freedom works! This is a simple and practical message. It is the truth. And so, to ensure that we remain the strongest and the safest, the richest and the most harmonious, we must remain the most free. And this begins with economic freedom. And we must be free to earn a living in whatever manner we choose, so long as we do not aggress against another or their property. We must be free to spend the fruits of our labor in whatever fashion we choose, without interference of the state. We must be free to own property, free to travel, free to exchange, free to trade. We must be free. Do not ask for anything from the government, but ask that the government leave you alone. This is the path to prosperity. Seeking something for nothing has undone many great societies, and it will undo ours if we do not recognize with cold sobriety the importance of our freedom. And to this end, I ask that you support my mayoral candidacy and vote for me on October 25th, 2010. I would do my part to keep our society free and prosperous.